Jeffrey Epstein, a name that has echoed through headlines, documentaries, and conspiracy theories for more than a decade. And now in 2025, the case is back in the spotlight with a statement so bold it could rewrite everything people thought they knew.
Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to?
There is no credible information that he trafficked to other individuals.
So the answer is no one?
For the information that we have.
FBI Director Kash Patel has told Congress there is zero credible evidence that Epstein trafficked women or minors to anyone else. After years of rumors about lists of names, secret files, and powerful clients, the FBI says there's nothing there. But before you accept that at face value, you need to hear the full picture. Because as you'll see by the end of this video, Patel's words may tell us more about the system than about Epstein himself. Let's rewind. To understand why Patel's claim is so shocking, you need to see how we got here. Jeffrey Epstein wasn't just another financier. He surrounded himself with politicians, celebrities, even royals. His private island, his jet, his Manhattan townhouse, all symbols of secrecy and privilege. Behind that glamour were disturbing allegations. In 2008, Epstein received a highly controversial plea deal in Florida. Instead of facing federal sex trafficking charges, he pled guilty to solicitation of prostitution and served just 13 months in county jail. But here's the kicker. That deal didn't just let Epstein off lightly. It also blocked prosecutors from pursuing unnamed co-conspirators. Why does that matter today? Because when Patel says there's no evidence others were involved, critics point to this very deal. If the evidence was cut off at the root, how can the tree grow later? And remember, by the end of this video, you'll see exactly why that decision from 2008 still shapes what Patel is able to say today. Fast forward to 2019. Epstein is arrested again on federal charges. The case looks ready to finally expose more than a decade of allegations. But just weeks later, he's found dead in his Manhattan jail cell. The official ruling, suicide. The public's reaction, disbelief. Tie that moment to Patel's words today. The idea that Epstein acted alone is hard for many to swallow when so many questions about his death remain unanswered. This is where the speculation about a wider network really took off. Documentaries, books, and online theories all pointed to the same suspicion. Epstein wasn't operating in a vacuum. And that's why Patel's testimony feels like a plot twist nobody saw coming. On September 16, 2025, in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Patel stated plainly, the FBI has found no credible information that Epstein trafficked women or minors to other individuals. He doubled down, if there had been evidence, the Bureau would have acted. Then he added something tying right back to that 2008 deal. He called it the original sin of the Epstein case. In his words, the decisions made back then still limit what can be pursued now. That's the part most people missed. Patel isn't only talking about evidence, he's hinting that the system itself, the courts, the plea deal, the sealed files, has locked away pieces of the puzzle. So while his statement may sound definitive, it actually opens a much bigger question. And we'll get to that by the end of this video. Here's why Patel's testimony matters. For over a decade, the public has been led to believe Epstein had a network of clients, politicians, business leaders, celebrities. Victims described being trafficked in circles filled with influential people. So when the FBI says none of that is backed by evidence, it feels like a contradiction. And that contradiction fuels two very different reactions. Some say, finally, the speculation ends. It was Epstein, and only Epstein. Others say, this proves the cover-up is real. Because how could a man like Epstein have operated totally alone? And that tension between the official line and public suspicion is why this story isn't going away. If you've been online in the last 24 hours, you've seen the reaction. People on social media called Patel's testimony unbelievable and insulting. Others demanded that every sealed document be released, no matter the legal restrictions. And this is where things get fascinating, because when the public flat out rejects the official line, it's no longer just about Epstein. It becomes a story about trust. Can institutions like the FBI and the Department of Justice ever convince people that their version of events is the truth? That's the deeper issue Patel's statement has triggered. So let's step back. On the surface, Patel's claim is simple. Epstein acted alone. But underneath, it points to something bigger. It highlights how decisions made years ago, like that 2008 plea deal, still shape what investigators can or can't say today. It shows how secrecy, sealed files, and limited disclosures fuel suspicion, even when officials insist they're being transparent. And most of all, it reveals the enormous trust gap between the public and the institutions meant to protect them. And here's the real takeaway by the end of this video. This story isn't just about what happened behind closed doors with Epstein. It's about whether we'll ever truly know the full truth, or whether the system itself makes that impossible. So what happens now? Congress isn't going to let this die. Expect more hearings, more subpoenas, and more pressure to unseal documents. Journalists will keep digging. Every time officials say there's nothing more, reporters see that as an invitation to search for something more. And don't forget, all it takes is one whistleblower, one insider, or one leaked document to change the story overnight. So, while Patel's statement sounds definitive today, tomorrow could look very different. The Epstein case has always been more than a crime story. It's a lens into power, privilege, and secrecy. Why did Epstein get such a favorable plea deal in 2008? Why were so many high-profile names connected to him socially? And why, after all these years, do we still know so little? Kash Patel's testimony may close one chapter, but it doesn't end the book. Instead, it forces us to ask harder questions. Is this really the full truth? Or is it the version of truth the system is willing to give us? So here's where I'll leave you. Do you believe Kash Patel when he says Epstein acted alone? Or do you think there's more buried in those sealed files and political deals? Tell me what you think in the comments. And if you want to stay updated on the biggest breaking stories in U.S. news, finance, and politics, make sure you subscribe. Because whether you trust Patel or not, this story is far from over.